Estalyn, and I'm presenting to you on how I visualize leadership. Now, about a semester ago, we were asked to play indoor games by the ASC, and I discovered this game. This game is called Jenga, and how it's played is that you are given 54 bricks, and you're supposed to place them on top of each other in rows of 3. So as you can see here, they've been placed on top of each other and here as well. Now, after you get to the top, each player starts to pull out a block one at a time. And the one thing you can't do is remove a block from the bottom of the structure of the tower. Now, if you make the mistake of removing the wrong block, the whole thing comes crumbling down, as you can see here. So I'm going to relate this to leadership. I'm going to relate it to the roles of leadership as identified by the leadership book. So I'm going to relate it to modeling, alignment, pathfinding. I'm also going to relate it to the analogy of a trim tab. Now, with regards to modeling, modeling means you should be the example that others seek to follow. So in the same way, my servant leaders are the ones at the bottom. So they serve as the example for putting the rest of the blocks on top of each other. Because before you can put the rest of the blocks on top, you must make sure that your structure is sound. So it thus becomes the benchmark based on which you place your other blocks. Now, I also spoke about alignment. Alignment is the ability to be able to directly place yourself in the right direction or in the way in which you intend to follow. So with alignment, after you set your objectives, you have to make sure that your systems, your structures as a leader are well aligned with your goals in order to be able to attain your objectives. Now, in the same way, when you are placing these blocks on top of each other, you don't just place them haphazardly. You have to make sure that the ones at the bottom are firm in order to be able to place them so that the structure can hold. I also spoke about pathfinding. Pathfinding is like the vision setting stage for a leader. So that's the stage where you set your objectives, you set your goals, and you make sure that you can follow them. You make sure that you know your strengths and your weaknesses so that you can well align your objectives with your aims for the future. So in the same way with pathfinding, the ones at the bottom help you to know the right way in order to be able to place your block so that they can stand for a longer time frame. I also spoke about the analogy of a trim tab. Now, a trim tab is like a smaller surface on a ship, which helps to control the larger surface. So the trim tab helps you to gain leverage for your ship. So by controlling the trim tab, you can steer the ship in the right direction. One thing about the trim tab is it's located underneath the ship. So it's below the surface, so you usually can't see it. In the same way, some leaders lead from behind. That means they are not your typical charismatic leaders who are always at the forefront in all their endeavors. They lead from the back, but then they help to steer the group. So in the same way, my blocks at the bottom here help to steer and form the core of the entire structure. Because once this foundation is weak, the entire structure is going to come crumbling down. So the lesson here is that as a leader, you don't necessarily have to be at the forefront at all times. You can lead from behind and still be successful. Thank you.
Yeah, I also like the way you were looking at the picture and looking at this. That was good.
Okay. Yes, Asher?
When you're talking, you were a bit out of it, so next time you please use something.
A bit?
Out of it.
Okay. Yes.
I think for me it was difficult because you were likening an analogy to another analogy, and that I felt like maybe if you had just one analogy, it might be a little bit clearer. It's like likening it to a ship, and then likening the ship to leadership is just like a little bit hard to keep all of that together.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I should